Today I'm going to talk about how to give an informative speech. When giving a speech, you want to make sure that everything is very clear, your information follows in order, that not only is it in order, but you have proof. One thing you do not want to do when giving a speech is boring people. When you start to bore people, people no longer listen to you, and people no longer care about the information that is being given.
Okay.
So the information I'm going to give you starts with making sure you support your presentation with credibility, logic, and emotion. What I mean by that is making sure that not only do you know what you're speaking about, but you believe in what you're talking about. One thing you don't want to do is making sure like you're reading it from a script, because once you think that you're reading it from a script, your audience no longer believes that you know what you are talking about, and that's the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure that you have confidence in what it is you're speaking about. When giving a speech, make sure you have emotion as well. Don't be so monotone. Don't make it seem like you're bored with what it is you're teaching them as well. Another thing you can do when giving a speech is making sure you organize your persuasive message. Whatever message you are trying to give, make sure it's completely organized. Not only do you want it to be organized for your own self, but you want to make sure that it's organized so that your audience is following you completely. When you seem like you don't have an idea of what you're talking about, or your things begin to look unraveled, or you're reading from a card and this card is mixed up with the next card and nothing follows into place, again you seem as if you don't know what you're talking about. And the last thing you want to do is pause in between conversations to make it seem like you're at a loss. The last thing you want to do is lose the audience completely with not being organized. You don't want to confuse yourself. Being confused in speech can discourage you to not only continue speaking, but it can show in how you're presenting when you're disorganized, and tend to have the speech to go further down the line on a negative spiral, and that's what you do not want. Another thing when we were kids was we would always tell people if they give you information to prove it. One of the things we always used was I believe it when I see it. So having proof with whatever information you are giving them is big when it comes to giving a speech. What you want to do is have something to prove that what you're saying is true. No one is ever going to believe you if you're just giving them information, and the information doesn't have anything that has proofs of percentages or who said what. They want to know that what you're saying follows through with some kind of logic and some kind of credibility with someone else, not just you. And as always, the most important when it comes to any speech is speaking clear. Make sure your tone of voice is always never monotone. Never keep your voice at the same level. When speaking, make sure that you sound excited about whatever it is you're trying to persuade them to do. Make sure that you don't sound lost. You don't sound bored. Make sure you definitely do not sound like you're reading. You don't ever want anybody to hear you read a speech. When you are reading, it definitely shows that you not only took the time to not pay attention to what you're talking about, but you don't care about what you're talking about. It almost seems like you're doing it because you have to, and not because you want to convince people for whatever product or whatever thing it is you're trying to sell them or get them to do. With these tips, I believe this would help you in order to have a great, informative speech. If you be sure to follow all of these, it definitely will work for you. And thank you for your time today.